This is the United States, and this is California, Florida, New York, and Texas, the four largest U.S. states by population and GDP. Then there's the state of Wyoming. As you can see here on the map, the 10th largest U.S. state by landmass, but the smallest by population and population density. In fact, each of those states, California, Florida, New York, and Texas, have single cities that completely dwarf Wyoming's statewide population. Of course, Wyoming isn't a city. It's been the 44th U.S. state ever since joining the Union all the way back in 1890. But I'm sure you already know Wyoming for its abundant nature, Yellowstone National Park, or for being the first state to give women the right to vote. But did you know that Wyoming is fundamentally important to modern American politics, economics, and resources? Well, it is. In fact, J.C. Penney's, once the nation's largest department store, was founded in Kemmerer, Wyoming. And Wyoming was the birthplace of limited liability corporations, or LLCs, America's most common business structure to this day. 3.29 million people, more than 5 times the entire population of Wyoming, visit Yellowstone every year. And Wyoming residents have more per-person voting power than anywhere else in the U.S. I could go on too. America's first national forest, Wyoming, its first national monument, also Wyoming, even the nation's oldest continuously run public library. That's right, Wyoming. But I'm sure you already get my point here. Despite it being the least densely populated U.S. state, smaller than medium-sized cities like El Paso, Memphis, and Louisville, Wyoming's cultural impact, political influence, economic success, and unique history are surprisingly impressive, as Wyoming has solidified itself as a legitimately important part of the United States, and it did so with less than 600,000 total residents. And while you could argue that there are several reasons Wyoming stands out from other U.S. states, I would argue that the most notable factor is that Wyoming is almost frozen in time. Maybe it's because Wyoming is such a large state for having such a limited population, or maybe it's because nearly half the state is owned by the federal government. It could even be that Wyoming's chief industries are coal, oil, and gasoline. But as the decades continue to pass, Wyoming seems to stand almost still in time. See, there's this old saying about how the more things change, the more they stay the same. And while that quote is likely a sarcastic take on the fickle nature of humankind, it's also kind of true, at least for the state of Wyoming. And not just because leadership there frowns at even the idea of change, it's that not changing is almost ingrained into Wyoming society, even as it's surrounded by states that are experiencing major geographic, economic, and population shifts, with places like Colorado, Idaho, Nevada, and Utah booming like never before, while Wyoming remains stuck in the past. See, geography influences economics, and economics influence population changes. That's why millions of new residents have moved into the Rocky Mountain region of the United States over just the past decade. With the region's natural beauty, comfortable population density, and relatively low cost of living, at least circa the 2010s, attracting major corporations and startup endeavors along with millions of new residents. And I won't debate the pros and cons of unchecked population growth here, though to be honest, I'm not typically a fan. But my point is that while the Rocky Mountain region, and really America in general, are experiencing profound change, Wyoming really isn't. Before I explain why, that is, why Wyoming appears so unwilling to progress, with lawmakers there going as far as to refuse federal funds meant to build out a statewide electric vehicle charging network, for instance. I should point out that Wyoming is slowly growing in population, and that the cost of living there has risen in recent years as wealthy out-of-state residents purchase second or third homes in ski resort cities like Jackson Hole. Frankly, many Wyoming residents simply seem very content with how things are. I know I had mentioned Wyoming's culture earlier, and while its culture is broadly defined as being American Western, it feels more in line with the Old West, with Wyoming residents often calling it a cowboy culture, and the state itself cowboy country. Now, cowboy culture differs a bit from what we've come to expect out of the American West, with Wyoming being the nation's third most conservative state, and with people there caring deeply about traditional values, freedom, and most of all, family. That's to say, Wyoming's voting base seems happy with the status quo of having no state income tax, low crime, little population, and beautiful wide open spaces. And therefore, state leadership in Wyoming has almost no motivation to drive or even allow real change there. That and the state and its residents depend on the production of natural resources to a point where progress could, potentially, wreck the state's entire economy. An economy that, keep in mind, has treated the state well for many years, with Wyoming running at a rare surplus and having a statewide income in line with the national average, along with a poverty rate that falls below the national average. Now, don't get me wrong, Wyoming certainly isn't perfect. Wyoming's overall economy has been almost completely stagnant since 2008, and again, it's clearly overdependent on those limited natural resources. Wyoming also completely lacks the presence of any Fortune 500 companies, with the 4 largest employers in the state all being government-operated entities. And Wyoming visitors, and even some residents, will point out the obvious lack of city amenities, attractions, and activities there. Even Wyoming's biggest city and capital, Cheyenne, has a mere 65,000 residents. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe.